The ongoing saga that is the brand new HBO Max animated series Velma is still well underway as the backlash against the story as well as the writers and producers continues. This might be a topic that seems to have run its course, but with new episodes still releasing every week, and an all-new season 2 already in the works, the conversation around this brand new animated series is set to continue for quite some time. From my side personally, I have pretty much said everything that I wanted to say about the show itself as well as the writing. Over the last week or so, what has been most interesting to watch has not been the show but rather the media's attempt to cover the show in various ways. The conversation about Velma has been all over the place with brand new takes popping up all the time. Now, as you can imagine, in most cases, the conversation pretty much just goes the way you think that it would. Some outlets covers the show lashing out against those who did not like it and then proceed to call everyone who thinks the writing is bad a bunch of names, suggesting that they did not like Velma because of some deep internalized issue with skin color or sexual orientation. Recently, as I was busy going through some of the opinions regarding the latest episodes, I stumbled across a few outlets that covered the show and I started to pick up a trend that was all too familiar. It is something that I have noticed for quite some time now, and I personally believe that it is the reason why so many of these type of shows just continues to fail all the time. I am going to break this article down and I want everyone to see if they can pick up the issue with the way the show is being presented, advertised, and reviewed. Wired, in their article called "Why Velma is the Internet's New Punching Bag," wrote, HBO Max's latest entry into the Scooby-Doo canon, Velma has the kind of pedigree that usually signals hit. Executive produced by veteran TV author Mindy Kaling, who also voices the animated series title character, it's a show about one of pop culture's most beloved nerds. Like Riverdale before it, Velma also takes a kid's entertainment staple and gives it a new, winkingly adult twist. Yet, with all of that going for it, the show has still become the internet's new favorite punching bag. Tweets knock the show's attempts at edgy humor, mocking the culture wars. Parodies take aim at its plot lines. Forbes has made a beat of dramatically chronicling the backlash. Showrunner Grandy, a frequent collaborator of Kaling's and the son of a former Love Boat star, has apparently been accused of being a nepotism case, one post declared. As another put it, succinctly enough, everyone hates Velma. So up until this point, I do think the conversation is still fair. The internet has definitely been taking a liking to dunking on Velma, but considering that all Velma does is dunk on other people all the time in their show, it is probably fair game. They do go on to say here, for one, Velma opted for colorblind casting, with its title character now being a South Asian woman. For another, this Velma is portrayed as more overtly queer. But while it might be easy to chalk up backlash against the show to the usual racism and/or homophobia that tends to accompany this kind of thing, and there's likely still a bit of that in play here, what's going on with Velma runs deeper than that. The biggest gripes about the show seem not to be that it's addressing issues of diversity in the Mystery Inc. gang, but rather that the show is doing it in a flat, one-note manner. And when it comes to Velma's sexuality, something that's been a topic of discussion in Scooby-Doo discourse for years, any attempt to address the matter needs depth. Now, there are a couple of statements that I disagree with here, and the first and biggest is the fact that they claim colorblind casting was done. That is obviously not true. They literally blast the idea of colorblind casting in the show, and it was very clear here that they actively went out of their way to cast certain races and sexes coming from a specific sexual orientation. Now, I have already made my thoughts about race swapping and sex swapping very clear. I do not care at all. Just write a great story and make sure that all your efforts fall on the story. If you do that, no one will care about anything else, at least for the most part. Even this show is proof of that. If you read all of the negative reviews, the overwhelming majority of people bashing this show is going on poor writing and lame jokes. No one is even mentioning the diversity. You have a couple of weirdos having a mental breakdown over it, but the majority of people simply do not care. The majority of this article continues to discuss specifically the fact that Velma is gay, and then they go much deeper into past Velmas, further explaining why it is nothing new that this Velma specifically is also not straight. This for me is where the conversation is getting interesting. The article in itself does not do anything wrong. In fact, I thought it was written quite well, and they even made a few good points about past Velmas also not being straight. The issue with this line of conversation is very simple. With discussing the show, not once did anyone make any reference to the actual story or plot of the show. The same can be said when the showrunners are out to advertise the show. During the promotion, they will discuss the race of the characters or the sex of the characters, but you will rarely ever hear anyone discuss the plot points and story, even after the episodes are released. I personally believe this is where shows like this make their biggest mistakes. In the pursuit of diversity, they forget somewhere along the line to actually talk about the story, and once that happens, the entire identity of the show just becomes the people's race and sex. You want people to think about the plot and the story and the characters, when all you do is discuss how stunning and brave you are for casting diverse people, you end up otherizing the people you claim you want to represent. If you want to normalize diversity, and I do believe that we need to normalize it more, there is nothing wrong with focusing the story on a gay character or a character of color. But if you want to do that in a show where the main focus is monster hunting, you cannot revolve your entire promotion solely on the color of the person's skin or who they sleep with. You have to write a great story and promote a great story, and the rest will fall into place. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will and Grace, and many other shows have proven that a diverse cast can work and garner mainstream attention. But watch the way some of those shows were promoted, and then you watch how some of these reimaginings get promoted. You will watch hours of promotional material and still have no clue what the show is about or what plotline they are following. You will be reminded though how diverse and gay the cast is. It is completely normal to have a diverse cast, and it is completely normal to have a lead that is gay. I just wish the showrunners would do this justice by focusing on telling a good story and properly representing the people they claim they want to showcase and normalize.